Welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. I am Wiso from Footmex Nation. This is an hour-long podcast dedicated to all things Mexican football, Liga MX in English. I'm sure you've seen that hashtag happening all over the place. It's going to be a great, great show today. I hope everyone is joining us already on the chat. Lots and lots of news. We'll be talking all about Liga MX mainly. Surprising results. Tigres versus America. What happened? Only Pumas getting a win out of the Big Four, if we could even call them Big Four anymore, right, Johnny? Relegation thoughts. Lots and lots of stuff about Liga MX. And some Europeos talk also what's going on with our Legionados that are in Europe. A little bit of a taste of the new season just starting. Chicharito rumors. Just a lot of stuff going on that I'm sure people have been asking. Also, some news, some exclusives that we'll have. We'll start off with and San Diego possible Liga MX team might be playing in the United States. So we have lots of news there. But first, let's go say hi to our experts that are here with us today. I'll start Mr. Jason Markowitz from Soccer Mexicana, who, if you don't know, has an amazing email list. That's you got all the news that are coming from Liga MX and Mexican Soccer Show. He runs that. So before we go in, Jason, how's it going, sir?
It's going pretty well. I'm excited to be on the show tonight and to talk some Mexican soccer. It's East Coast. It's kind of it's getting to like seasonal depression kind of weather right now, kind of stuff. So it's good to talk about some of these things and think about places where it's a little bit warmer than here.
All right, well, Jason, it's cold all over the place. On the West Coast, California, Phoenix has been raining for the last 3 days.
What?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Let's go over to Mr. Johnny Rico Johnny in San Diego, Tijuana area. Johnny, I'm sure we're going to be hearing lots and lots about America still not winning. You have all the answers for us. But first, without any soccer stuff, Johnny, how are you?
It's pretty. The weather's pretty depressing over here too. I mean, it's been raining for 3 days, and I don't like this. I mean, I pay a higher tax bracket. We pay life is just more expensive out here because of the good weather. So I'm feeling a little ripped off right now. I'm not getting my money's worth.
Not getting your money's worth for what you pay. It's true. A gallon of milk is like $7 over there. So. The $6 Carl's Jr. burger is $8 in California because of that. Mr. Tom Marshall in Guadalajara, who we don't know how's the weather over there, Tom, because everyone keeps complaining about the weather in the United
States. Beautiful. It's absolutely perfect right now. I'm not even lying either. This is my favorite time of the year in Guadalajara. It's like it's a bit cold at night, so you have to put a jacket on. But in the day, there's still sunshine, and you can go out, and it's not too hot. So move down here. I think that's the solution.
And John, Tom knows about horrible weather. I mean, he's from from Manchester.
It's the worst. There are no seasons.
Get some bunk beds up in there, Tom. We'll be there.
Well, next Monday, you're all just sat there behind me like.
We'll do the show live from the spare bedroom of Mr. Tom Marshall. All right, guys. Well, if you're already joining us on the chat, thank you for joining us. If you are listening to us driving, thank you for taking the time. I'm guarantee it's going to be a great show. Those of you on, I'm not connected right now to the chat, but I'm sure our regulars are there, already discussing about the many things that we talk about, mostly our appearance. Or what our problems that we have with the internet, but I'm sure they're there. I'll jump on in a second. Let's get just right into it. Today we're going to talk mostly about Liga MX. Before we do that, really quick, some kind of news that came up, and I'm glad Johnny's on the show today. Johnny obviously is in San Diego, and a fellow journalist from San Diego kind of tweeted out that there could be a possibility of a Liga MX team in San Diego. I definitely jumped in the opportunity to retweet that, kind of get some clarifications. I clarified that they're bringing maybe a team over to play because of the new stadium. But for other people who don't know, Johnny, what's going on? New stadium being built, a new MLS team. What's going on?
So about 10 days ago, the NFL team, San Diego Chargers, decided to up and leave to Los Angeles. and that that was a big shock to everybody here. So the MLS wasted no time. I mean, there's already an investment group in place, ready to go. They knew this was happening, and part of the plan is bringing MLS to San Diego. Which, we usually don't cover MLS here, but also to three of the key figures in this group, we, the owners of this project, talk and presented the idea, and they're trying to convince San Diego that they want to build a stadium with their own money. They don't need taxpayer money. They want to bring an MLS team. They want to partner with San Diego State football. But one thing that really caught my attention, really raised my eyebrow, these owners were talking about Liga MX team to play Liga MX games in San Diego. And that.
Hey, can you just hear Johnny?
Yeah, I think it's about the NFL, and then MLS are wasting no time jumping in. But I think at the end that he was saying that they're potentially going to have a Liga MX team there as well. But I mean, I just completely don't understand it. I mean, firstly, US soccer would have to give permission because that's the way it goes. I mean, it's not. There are teams in different leagues that play in a different country to where they're based.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, in the Premier League, you've got Swansea. So the Welsh FA has to give permission for Swansea and Cardiff and Wrexham to play in the English divisions. So firstly, US soccer would have to do that, and secondly, you've got Cholos there, and then if you're having an MLS team as well, it just makes absolutely no sense. So I just think they mispronounced a few words there, mate. I just can't see it being viable.
Johnny, you saw that the owners were. I mean, you can't misinterpret what they said, that they want to bring in a Liga MX to play there. Now, I kind of maybe took it as maybe they want to invite, some of these, games. I mean, we see Mexican teams play all over the place with these cups, and maybe to try to bring in that market of bringing Liga MX to San Diego on these off-season games or during FIFA Day. Do you think that's kind of what they're meaning or kind of wanting to do?
Yeah, I think that makes a lot more sense. You could see like the setting up for that MLS, and like I think throwing in that Liga MX tidbit, I think, is just kind of a pipe dream, and to get people talking maybe, and to, like you said, just attract some games to a possible stadium and the situation there. But I think that's a long shot to say the least.
And even then, I mean, both federations would have to, would obviously have to be okay with it. Where would it start? It's not like, a Division 2. You can't just come into Division 1 right away, right? I mean, when there's brand new teams. So
yeah. No, I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about it later, but there are teams for sale in Mexico. It's not like, there are teams for sale, and the prospect of foreign investment, I think, is real. I think someone tweeted at me before this week that there are foreign owners kind of having a look at certain teams, and that I've heard even previously, and I think it's out there in stories as well, that even a few years ago with Chivas, there was kind of foreign investors having a look and seeing if it was worth trying to buy out Jorge Vergara.
There you go, Johnny. You back?
Hey, am I back? Yeah.
Yeah, Johnny.
So I don't know where I cut off. I don't know where I cut off.
Just really quick. You said you saw a video. Obviously, the owners talking about. I mean, specifically buying shares of a Liga MX team, and during the season maybe bringing them in.
Yes. So they kept it very vague, but they very clearly said buying stakes in a Liga MX team. That video right now is on the Union Tribune Facebook page. I'll see if I can share that after the show. But yeah, the owners were talking about buying out stakes in a Liga MX team and having Liga MX teams games in San Diego. Again, I don't know if that means the whole season. That means maybe 1 or 2 games a season. Still very vague. And there's still a lot of other things to work out in their plan. Their main focus is getting a stadium built and getting an MLS team in San Diego. but they threw out that possibility, which is really caught my attention. I mean, they would instantly become the #1 rivals of Xolos. Can you imagine the Clásico de Frontera?
Diego Clásico. There you go. Well, I think it's very, very far-fetched. I mean, the idea, but good to entertain that idea. And who knows? Maybe they'll buy a little bit of Chiapas, and Chiapas players can get paid. So it would be like that. Well, that's kind of the news that just kind of broke in the last hour or so. So keep us updated. So Johnny, I know you know contacts all over San Diego. So let us know what's happening and what can come out of that. But
so at this moment, I'm gonna share that video on my Facebook page, the Johnny Rico page.
Good plug.
And I'll maybe even put a link on Twitter.
Maybe. All right. If you want to see that video exclusively, go to Johnny Rico's page right now on Facebook. Troll his page. And I'm just kidding. Make sure you're liking it when you're in there and you're able to see that video. All right. Lots of Liga MX in English talk. And I'll take a little moment before we go into Liga MX. Tom, I know we were talking all about Liga MX in English. You tweeted out this week. So explain a little bit that Liga MX hashtag. We're trying to get this movement going. What do you say?
Yeah, no, just hashtag Liga MX ENG for English. Just thought let's all come together and regardless of who we're writing for or who we are or talking about and kind of get some conversation going on about Twitter. I feel like there's a lot of people following these games and tweeting about these games, but we kind of got lost and stuff. So I don't know if we all use that hashtag Liga MX ENG, and I think it brings a central focus to what we're all doing.
Definitely, I know.
And the more the merrier. The more people to do it, it's great for all of us. Brings exposure to the league at a time when the league said it wants to internationalize, and if that's really what they want to do, then they need to be focusing on ideas like this and seeing who's actually involved in the conversations.
Definitely, and I think it's a great idea. I know that we're definitely doing it, and we've seen, I know Goal.com, FMF State of Mind, Kick is doing it. So
even Xolos were doing it the other day.
Xolos as the club, and I know we have some contacts there at Santos in English too. So hopefully you just click on the hashtag and you get the most recent news or at least conversations of what's happening with Liga MX. As we're seeing this year, expect Liga MX in English to grow. I really think 2017 is a year for that, where it's going to be explosive all over, especially in the United States. But let's go ahead and talk about, saying hello everyone on the chat already. Pancho Villa's Army is there. Mr. Joel, JP Santoyo, Marco Medina, Samuel Jimenez, Max Cosme saying hi. Jason Markowitz is also there, in and out. Ivan Fernandez, MB23. So if you're not in the chat, get there right now and give us your thoughts, your questions. What we are talking about, obviously very important for you guys, and we'll try to answer them. But let's go ahead and get into our topics into Liga MX. Jornada 3 already. Lots and lots of controversy and drama like Liga MX always is. Let's start off with the biggest result, the surprising result for you guys. I want to ask you, what's the most surprising to you and why? Right? Lots of underdogs beating the big guns. I think in the Quinielas at Foodmax Nation, there was a person that got 0. It's Foodmax Nation president, which will be announced soon. But it was not you, Tom. But let's start off with you, Tom. Most surprising results. I'll leave it off. I'll go at the end. And let's start off with Tom. Then we'll go Johnny and then Jason. Or at least we'll have a conversation, Tom. To you, surprising.
Yeah, no, I thought Chiapas defeating Toluca. I mean, I think it was the only second game that Toluca played in the new stadium. Chiapas are in the relegation fight. This week they've been basically put up for sale. It's basically a project that's going absolutely nowhere. It's at a dead end. And it was just, surprising in a way that the players got it together. They absolutely showed themselves to be unified. I mean, watch the celebration of the goal that Fabro scored from the beautiful goal from a free kick. Watch the celebration. All the players run over. I don't know. I just think that because they're going through such a difficult situation, they've almost kind of come together. And it's going to be interesting in terms of the relegation fight. But yeah, Chiapas, I think they're a limited team, but I thought they fought really well against Toluca. I thought Toluca were completely lackluster, didn't have really many ideas going forward. And fair play to Chiapas. I mean, it's not easy to go to Toluca midday kickoff and fight hard for the full 90 minutes. And I thought they did that. And fully deserved that victory in the end.
Definitely, especially because people were talking about this big Toluca, how much they spent. They're coming off the wins. This is the team to beat. Everyone looked at that Chiapas match, Chiapas with all the problems, the relegation problems, and the inauguration. I mean the centennial celebrations that Toluca's having. I mean, there was no way anyone picked Chiapas, and I thought definitely very surprising. Johnny, surprise.
Yeah, I think that Chiapas Toluca kind of takes it all, but the rest of the league, I'd say I'm pretty surprised how bad America played. Putting the result aside, a Tigres victory was very possible, maybe even likely, but just how horrible America played, that was very surprising. I've kind of been saying America were heading down this road. I didn't think they'd reach this level of horribleness this quick, but hey, it's here.
Well, there you go. America lost. I think just the way the play was definitely surprising. It was a very entertaining game. One of the a great game, especially of what's happening. Jason.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Well, yeah. So I mean, first, one of the things that sticks out to me between those two games is that this idea of Ruben Sambuesa, where America supporters are pretty upset that he left, and Toluca was pretty excited that they had this new player. But I kind of wonder with these players that have this long kind of tenure with one of these clubs, well established, one of the most popular players, and then he's kind of shipped off to another club. You got to kind of wonder if that's a good choice for the new club sometimes, because I think I don't know. To me, it feels like a few years back, Toluca went and picked up Lucas Lobos from Tigres, and it was kind of like Tigres kind of let him go. He goes on to Toluca, and he never really did a ton. And I kind of feel like we might be seeing the same thing. Like America kind of knew when it was time to pull the plug on Sambuesa. I wonder. So I'm kind of a little worried for his future going forward. That's my little tangent on that. But as far as my most surprising result of the weekend, I think certainly Chiapas was surprising. I was really surprised that Pumas were able to get the win in Leon. Incredible fashion that it went down in, for sure. Horrible stomach punch loss for Leon there, with Leon almost scoring in stoppage time and getting the winner, and then conceding the winner basically with the last kick of the game to Pumas. But Pumas traditionally don't travel well. Usually get most of their wins at home. Going to probably the most difficult stadium, right there with Tigres. Leon, a very difficult place to go in and get a result. Pumas going there and getting the win, I think, is a pretty incredible result.
I'm starting to like Pumas.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the last few seasons have been a bit off. I've not really believed in them, even though they reached the final just over a year ago. I've not really got them. I've not really kind of been excited by him. But all of a sudden now, I think Palencia's had a couple of transfer windows. I think he's got the players in. Obviously, they played over the weekend without Nico Castillo. He was suspended, so playing that Ravello almost like a false nine there. I don't know. I like the idea now. I think it's all coming together, and for the first time in a while, I look at Pumas and I think, yeah, I like what they're doing. And it's almost going back to those roots of having a majority of Mexican players. I mean, you look at the Pumas team, and what was it? I think they started with only three foreigners at the weekend, or maybe four. But it's starting to feel like a Pumas team that fans can really start to get behind.
Oh gosh, I don't even get started with Pumas on this game.
Any red flags for your boys there, Wiso?
Oh gosh, I just feel like I know that luck is a big part of the game, but Leon should have won that game 3, 4, 5 times. I mean, it was like, I don't know where Gulit's at. Not Gulit.
Yeah,
even
it's another
Pumas
big
got lucky.
question. But it's another big question, that Gullit Peña. I mean, Jason mentioned then the transfers, and Gullit Peña's left Leon. He wasn't even playing particularly well when he left. He's gone to Chivas. It basically turned out to be a failure.
Yeah.
Now back at Leon, and he's missing big chances in games like this.
Well,
I
mean,
it's a big worry.
I just thought I think he had pretty good games in the middle of the week. He scored, and then last week, and it looks like this week there's something there that, I mean, he was 1-on-1. Granted, that's not what Gullit does, sprinting from 40 yards in and trying to score. But at the same time, everyone was off. That's a little more worrisome. The fact that Boselli is in front of the goal twice, And it looks like he still has his 2 left feet from the playoffs last week. But kind of what you were saying, Tom. For me, the surprise is also, I mean, there's no way Chiapas, and I said it already. More surprising to me is that we can't see the ball during the Chiapas game, the Chiapas Toluca game, because at Toluca Stadium.
Yeah, it's not. It's,
renovations of that.
Yes.
I wonder
if there's one good thing, hopefully they consider changing the time of the game so the shadow's not.
I guarantee that's going to happen. There's no way the TV, las televisoras are happy with that, because I honestly didn't even want to watch the game. You know,
I mean, they shouldn't be playing at that time anyway. I mean, I just think it wasn't a great game, was it, Toluca Chiapas? And the pitches look slow. You know what I mean? It's not just the weather, because it's not even that hot right now in like the Estado de Mexico.
Yeah.
But it's the pitches, like the grass looks really slow. I don't know. Obviously the altitude's a factor, and I think it just produces a slow game. I mean, imagine that Toluca Stadium like Friday night.
Yeah.
9 o'clock under the floodlights.
Unless it's pretty cold, isn't it? I mean, usually Toluca's cold.
Yeah,
but
I think the atmosphere would be absolutely intense.
Actually,
you go to a game at midday on Sunday, and it's like difficult to get up for it.
I don't really remember the last time I saw, that stadium in the night. You know, you always see that, and it looks like just the colors are so off because of the sun. It looks like 10 years ago we had that TV and you turned up the color ratio because it's so bright green and so black. Interesting.
I still got one like that.
Oh, there you go. Lots of surprise results. Also surprising that America still doesn't have any points. Granted that they still have one more game to play, but everyone, including Puebla, got points and now they're on the board. And I think that's also a little bit of surprises. But let's go ahead and talk about Tigres America, which was the game of the week for FoodMex Nation, also for many people. It did not disappoint. Right off the bat, the game starts. I go get, my usual cerveza. I come back to start. Boom, 1-0. Question to you guys.
Drum roll.
Or is this America's troubles again? What Johnny was talking about, no midfield, playing bad. They are playing. I mean, I looked at Tigres, those golazos. This is the best team in Mexico playing against America. Were they just unlucky, or is there a lot of problems in America going in right now? And we'll go to Mr. Johnny, obviously, to go ahead and give you your rant.
Yeah, there's big problems at America right now, and things don't look to be getting any better. We start off with the obvious of what I said last week. There's absolutely no creativity in the midfield going forward. You got rid of the one and only guy that knows how to do anything with the ball, which was Sambuesa. Right now you have Oribe Peralta kind of just sitting at the top waiting for something to happen. Oribe is still good enough to score a goal like he did against Tigres. The defense is really shaky, and the goalkeeper, his heart just doesn't seem to be in this. He's already allowed.
Nobody could have stopped that golazo, bro.
Wait, which of the 8 in the last 3 games are you talking about?
How about that defense, bro? Come on.
Which of the 8?
I'm talking about the one on Sunday.
Okay, which of the 4 on Sunday?
All right. Point taken, Johnny. Point taken.
So yeah, and then Ricardo Lavolpe does not seem to know what he's doing tactically. He sent out a really weird lineup where it looked like he was undecided whether to use a line of 4 defenders with Osmar Mares as the left back and Zamudio as a left midfielder, or a line of 5 defenders with Osmar Mares as a center back, one of the 3 center backs, and Zamudio as a left wing. So those kind of incertainties that the manager's showing do not bode well for the team. And then things like today with Ricardo Peláez kind of waving the white flag and just giving up on any possible new transfers coming into the team, saying that they're probably not going to bring in anyone new to the team and that they're just going to play with whatever they got. So dark times coming for America.
America's had quite the opposition, Johnny. Starting off with Toluca and then now Tigres. Go ahead, Tom.
The same Toluca that lost to Chiapas.
Yeah, but again.
But I do agree with Johnny in terms of they have lost Sambuesa, and you look at and you're like, where's the replacement? I mean, it's okay getting rid of someone But who's coming in, what they're going to do, and if they're not going to do that, then it's problematic. But for me, the problem with America is La Volpe. I mean, I think he was a temporary, in terms of a temporary stopgap to take the club through to the Liguilla and to the Club World Cup. Okay, I think that's fine, but I think, La Volpe's recent history isn't what it is just because it's a coincidence and he's been unlucky. I don't think players particularly like him that much. I think he rubs them up the wrong way. And I think especially in a club like America, where you've got some massive star names getting paid a lot of money, I question his ability at this stage of his career to kind of make this into a cohesive unit now that he doesn't have, the Club World Cup. So all the players, last season, I feel like as soon as La Volpe came in, they had to click into gear. They knew that they had to make, it was the Centenario, they knew they had to make the Liguilla, make the final. They knew they had the Club World Cup coming. And I think this season, now it's like, where are we heading? Where are we heading with this project now? And is La Volpe the right person? I mean, you look at some of the other managers coming into the league, even Paco Gemes over there at Cruz Azul, and, Torrenti at León, and you think, what were America thinking going with La Volpe? It just doesn't seem, looking back, obviously easy with hindsight, but it doesn't seem like a rational decision at this point.
Is it really a train wreck, Jason? I mean, we did play Toluca and the Tigres.
I think just about at any other club, it would be fine. At any other team, it would be fine because they would have time to sort it out without so much discussion about everything that's going wrong. And they didn't play very well against Tigres on Saturday. There were just too many gaps. That, as Johnny referenced, that defense was just seemed confused about what they were doing. And Tigres had the 4 goals. It could have been a lot more with the number of decent chances they were getting in that first half, especially. So I don't know. I still think they, even with La Volpe, because I mean, you look at what he did in that Liguilla and really got that defense really humming in the Liguilla last season. So I mean, I think there's still time that it could be sorted out. I think there's some gaps in the midfield, like we discussed. I still I think they need someone else up front as well. So I think there's some holes, and I don't think they're a great team at the moment, but I don't think they're a disaster either, because they did run into an absolute freight train in Tigres, I think, this weekend, who were clicking and looked like they came in to, by all means, dominate that game. I think they were certainly some suspect play from Hugo Ayala in the back. But I think I think Tigres were just up for that, and they really put out a pretty good performance going forward. So I could see America kind of sorting themselves out in the next coming weeks. But I think there are, as Johnny and Tom mentioned, that there's some issues there.
America loses to Veracruz next week. Then we'll be talking. I really do feel like, given the break, given what's happening, Ruben Sambuesa leaving, it takes time to bring it in. I know, Johnny, I know that you expect more and you need him to win every game or whatever, but they did go against Toluca that played well and inspired Toluca to coming back in. And then now Tigres, who was finally clicking. So losing against Veracruz, I say so.
We'll see. I just, like I said before, I question La Volpe's ability over the longer term, whether that's next week or 4 weeks or 6 months. I don't think he's going to be there in 2 years, and I think
it's America, of course not.
It's America, no. But anyway, quick point about Tigres. I mean, Zelarayan, unbelievable. I mean, this is a player who last season struggled to get in the team, but when he did come in, he showed flashes of absolute brilliance. I tell you what, he'd walk into any other team in the Liga MX easily. He'd be the starting player. He'd be one of the stars. He's a brilliant young player, and it was good to see him get the start and do so well. But check this out as well. Andy Delors, French player, playing a mid to upper table French team when he left Europe, comes into Tigres. He plays 5 minutes against America. I mean, he can't be happy. I just think it highlights the strength of this Tigres squad, and let's see what happens with him, because the reports of offers for him to go back to France. Imagine a player leaves France to come to Mexico, can't get in the team and heads back. It's almost like the reverse of what we've seen with Mexican players before, like Barrera and Efrain Juarez and stuff.
That's kind of funny. Is he a failure? He couldn't hack it in the Mexican league.
Couldn't hack it.
Yeah, that Lucas Zelarayan, incredible golazo. That's what I was talking about, Johnny. I don't think Any goalkeeper could have done anything. I was like, well, Lasso, that's there. Although we gotta say that Moises Munoz is laughing because his team won.
So wait, are you talking the first Celarayan goal from the free kick?
No, from the corner kick. No,
No, it was
free kick. Sorry, free kick. So yeah.
Yeah, the direct free kick. Well, in that goal, look at the position of where Marchesín is standing. He's right in the middle of his goal. When the wall he sets up is supposed to block the front post, and he's supposed to cover the back post.
There is no wall. There is no wall. I'm looking at it right now. I know. Obviously, the keeper is it's his job to put the wall, but there's three. Yeah. There's, I mean, I just thought it was a golazo. I mean, they got the strength of that guy. It went in the corner. It went in the corner.
He needed to, but that's the post that he needed to be protecting, and he did not. He needed to set up a wall to protect the front post.
Marchesín proved himself. He's a good enough.
Yeah,
keeper.
I like.
Well, he hasn't proved anything at America yet. He hasn't proved anything while at America.
It's not like the defense is doing that either, Johnny.
I think Johnny has a point. I mean, if you're going to like dissect everything, I mean, because he's a great goalkeeper, but if you're going to dissect, I think Johnny does have a point. I think Marchesín probably should be a step or two back from where he was set up positionally when that free kick came in. I still don't think he even gets to that ball, the way it floated into that corner.
And the bigger picture is America outplayed. I mean, they didn't deserve anything from that game, regardless of who the goalkeeper was. I mean.
Ochoa would have stopped it, right, Johnny?
Here we go. No, let's not go down.
We're back to
right. Happy news, and this is kind of exciting because I couldn't wait to bring Jason in the game to bring in and talk about Cruz Azul, because even though Cruz Azul did not get a win, I haven't seen a Cruz Azul play like that in a long time. I got to give him props. I saw a different Cruz Azul. I don't see the hand in hand yet, but at least different and almost like a moral win or moral victory for Cruz Azul getting in that way, I would think. But Cruz Azul Monterrey, who's happier with the results? Turco Mohamed, it's like we keep hearing what happened, but now Cruz Azul finally, Cruz Azuleada is not a trending topic coming back, and I'm kind of happy to see Cruz Azul at least get that point. Jason.
Well, I mean, that's like the ultimate backhanded compliment there. I think the moral victory, but we'll take it because Cruz Azul could use some compliments, really. No, I think I think Cruz Azul's happy with the result because it's a point, and they just needed a point from the match, especially going 2-0 down. And they played better for the majority of the match in that first half, like creating so many chances. Red card came along, then you're thinking, okay, here we go. 11v10 I think it was the 58th minute, Hugo Ayala with the red card. So Cruz Azul has a chance to come back and get that, and they had so many chances to do it. They had the goal that was called back for offsides incorrectly. They had a couple penalty calls that didn't get called, borderline stuff. But just so many chances. And it looked for a while there that Cruz Azul was going to end up just losing that despite all those opportunities. So in the end, the last gasp, own goal there, mess in front of goal. Cruz Azul getting that. I mean, it's a relief getting a point there. I don't think it's devastating for Monterrey either because of going so long with a man down. But a point for Cruz Azul is huge there, and just moving on to the next week. You got a tough one coming up, traveling to Tijuana this week, so it's not getting any easier for Cruz Azul.
Yeah,
definitely. It was the own goal too, which is kind of even sweeter because that's the way Cruz Azul. It's like it was just a positive note in that own goal in the way that it was. Sorry, Tom. Go ahead.
Go John.
Yeah, it's a positive that Cruz Azul didn't lose, but come to think of it, all the chances created, playing a man up was so much time. This is a game that Cruz Azul needed to win at home. They lost to Pumas on the road. They barely beat out Necaxa at home in week 1. They needed to get all 3 points to continue this positive trend.
Yeah.
I think they kind of hit a wall there. Because this is a game they should have won.
Mm-hmm. Definitely should have won that.
I mean, I think this is the thing with Cruz Azul. I think we said before the season started that they are the most interesting team this season, and it's proving to be exactly that way. I mean, Paco Gemes comes in. We know his reputation. He's great. His teams are really good going forward, but they're not very good at the back. And look at Cruz Azul. I mean, you know, I could just argue both ways of this. I mean, Cruz Azul had 77% possession. It was absolute domination against one of the best teams in the Liga MX. I mean, that's impressive, regardless of the result and the draw. But then on the other side, it's like you can't be giving up goals like that. And Monterrey at the end of the day were poor, and they were so negative. I mean, I was disappointed in Mohamed and the way he set up his team.
Well, when the game was still 11 versus 11 in the first half, you know, Monterrey kind of just allowed Cruz Azul to have possession. They set back and they counterattacked at the opportune times. And with players like Funes Mori up top, they have that ability to counterattack with, you know, deadly consequence to the opposing team. You know, what's funny to me is that Cruz Azul played better football when they were down to 10 men against Pumas, when they had to be more conservative, when they had to be more organized, than they did, you know, all-out attack 11 against 11 against Monterrey. You know, if you get to me, I think his mistake right now is trying to just be all-out attack. I think he needs to be a little more balanced, you know, to have a little more success.
I mean, Monterrey's penalty was an individual error by Corona. It wasn't a great counter attack. It wasn't like genius tactics. It was a stupid.
But how do you get 1v1 against the goalkeeper in that situation?
But what I'm saying is that I think that's the argument. But I can't. On the balance of play, Monterrey were extremely lucky. He played at half of football 10 times. I think Cruz Azul outplayed Monterrey, and I think the majority of times Cruz Azul would be up. All right, on the day, Monterrey got a bit of luck, they got the chances, but I don't know. I'm just saying, if I was a Monterrey fan and I see that performance and the money that they spent on that team, and you've got Cardona on the bench and Walt IOV playing left winger, you know, you talk about the counter attack. I mean, IOV's not got the pace these days to be marauding down the wing, you know. But why not put Yimi Chara or Cardona on there? I mean, I don't know. I'd just be disappointed if that was my team.
True. Yeah, I totally disagree with Johnny there. I really think in that first half, Cruz Azul was playing pretty well. I think they had the better first half when it was 11v11. I just think Monterrey got those goals, and it was just kind of a they got their chances. It was great individual effort from Monterrey. And it was just the way it goes sometimes. But I think and it felt like one of those games where Cruz Azul was playing better, but they're going to lose.
That first half reminded me of the America that Turco had, that, you know, took him to the championship. How he, you know, set back, allowed Cruz Azul to play with the ball, and, you know, hit. You know, that goal by Carlos Sanchez, that was a thing of beauty. The way they passed the ball, you know, so quickly, one-touch football. You know, it's a shame that Carlos Sanchez got injured in that play, because I think that changed the game slightly more than even the red card. Losing Carlos Sanchez, you know, at that moment of the game, such an important player. But I enjoyed the way Monterrey played, you know, up until that injury, because, you know, it's very cold and calculating and effective football that took America to a 2014 championship.
I mean, Johnny, what you're basically trying to say is Monterrey were controlling the game without having the ball, controlling basically space, whereas Cruz Azul were controlling the ball, Monterrey were. But I disagree with you. I don't think that Monterrey were in control. I think it was Cruz Azul who were flaunting chances and opportunities more than Monterrey being absolutely terrific. I don't know. That's just the way I saw the game, though.
Everyone's complaining about the foghorn. I'm just going to throw it in there on the chat.
I sat next to the guy once in the stadium.
Did he not slap it?
Oh, no. He's like a 90-year-old man. The guy's the best.
Pizza, maquinita. I mean, it's better than the America. I think so. I'm sorry. At least this one, you know, when you're in the kitchen and you hear that, because someone just switched the Cruz Azul game. That's what people are talking about on the chat. Anyways, but Cruz Azul has Xolos next week. So here we go. Tests coming up, right? I think it's going to be an interesting game, especially I think from what I'm hearing, they're coming in a little early and practicing on the turf, right? To play against Xolos, and that James is doing that to try to. I don't know. I mean, we had a lot of clubs that used to do that when, especially on El Tri used to go and practice in the Saprissa before, and a lot of people are not liking it. So maybe
I'm
give them an edge.
I'm backing Xolos definitely in that game. I just think Xolos have got the style, that counter attacking. I think they're really they're very incisive. We saw that against Chivas at the weekend. I mean, did they deserve the point? Did they deserve the 3 points? Probably not. But you always felt that with Aviles Hurtado and Caraglio up front, you always thought they were going to, they could catch Chivas at any moment on the counter. And I think that's going to be the same on Friday. I think Paco James is it's in his DNA to go and attack, and I think he's going to leave spaces, and I think Xolos will be able to catch him out.
I think Xolos also are more likely to capitalize on the chances when they get them than what we're seeing with Cruz Azules, but certainly from this last game too. I think some of those players, Benitez especially, just don't really trust him to always capitalize on the chances that he does create.
All right, let's another trending topic, of especially that I feel like got the boost, was the relegation battle. The consensus is who is going to go between you got Veracruz, Morelia, Chiapas. On that. So I want to put it on the record and ask you guys right now, who's going down? Who, if your pick right now? So
my pick at the beginning of the season was Veracruz, and I'm still going to stick with it, even despite that win they got this weekend. Because I think they're always a team that's been likely to get those home wins. I mean, they've been up and down since they came into the league or bought their way into the league, really. But they've always been pretty tough at home, always kind of squeak out some wins at home that you wouldn't expect. I expect them not to get many results on the road, and I think that I have a little more confidence in Morelia to get results. I mean, I think it's really going to come down to Veracruz and Chiapas. Chiapas with a pretty decent road win this past weekend. So I don't know. I'm thinking Veracruz, but I'm not entirely confident. Puebla is not too far ahead of any of these teams, so we shall see.
I think Carlos Reynoso is
a veteran. I'm going with the surprise pick of Morelia. I think Morelia shocks us all and gets relegated and spends a good 10 years in second division.
Yeah. I went with Veracruz at the start of the season, and same as Jason, I'll probably stick with it. But yeah, I mean, I think if Puebla were a little bit closer, they're a few points ahead, aren't they? So they've got a bit of a cushion. Whereas I don't know, Chiapas. I think the Chiapas players are basically playing for their own futures. I mean, obviously they don't care about the club. I mean, the club's treated them awfully. So I think, and then I don't know, Morelia. I don't know. There's not much between them. I'm not particularly excited about any of them, to be honest. Watching Veracruz, Chiapas, or Morelia doesn't exactly excite me.
We've been flirting with the whole Chiapas. Like, what a horrible club! They're not paying their players. That's it. Get them in a second.
No, Chiapas is a team San Diego's going to buy.
Yeah.
We're just going to vote them down?
Moises Munoz comes back to San Diego. Wait, no, I think he was in Oakland. Right? He lived in Oakland or San
they need to stay in the first division in order for this to be a lucrative deal.
Well, it could be Hugo Sanchez with the San Diego owners. They can take over Puebla. I mean, it's there. Like I said, Carlos Reynoso, I think he's been in Liga MX for a really long time, and I think he knows what he's doing. He's capable of getting the job done. I don't think Veracruz gets relegated. We're gonna see.
He's kept them afloat before in this situation too. So
yeah. So we'll see what's that. So what is the chat? Let's take a little break of what's happening in the chat. They're still talking about the foghorn. A little bit of a relegation battle that's there. Sven-Goran Eriksson's name has popped up in there. Oh, one question really quick, Johnny, to you from the chat. If it's not La Volpe, who could even come in and coach America?
Realistic?
I ask you this like every season, and you still haven't given me an answer because Turco Mohamed is not an answer. Just take away. He doesn't want to play there. You keep wanting that this great coach, but you have no one.
Well, that was going to be my question. Like realistically, or what I want?
No, well, in that case, I mean, you can.
realistically, I think America were looking at bringing Pedro Caixinha back to Mexico.
Wow, that was a. Did he leave Santos kind of in a bad? I mean, what has he done other than? What did he do?
He was champion.
Santos a champion, then came back and.
Yeah, he made a really bad Santos team champions. I mean, their biggest star of that championship team was Chuletito Orozco.
I don't know about that.
No, Darwin Quintero was already at America.
Marchesino was pretty good that season.
Darwin Quintero and Oribe Peralta were already at America. Full circle. Their main striker that season was Orozco.
Caixinha. What's Caixinha doing these days?
Don't know.
I have no idea. Somewhere in the Middle East.
Yeah. Well, I thought he was. Yeah. Oh, maybe back.
Well, let's flag him.
Flag him, man. All right, guys. Let's talk about Chivas. Stop, Johnny. This is where we give the respect to you, and you come back and laugh at Chivas.
No, I think Chivas Saturday. I don't know. I didn't think they were. Mateus Almeida after the game was basically. He said his team played well. They did. Usually they'd win that game in other circumstances, but for me, I don't know. I think there's question marks. Angel Zaldivar. I don't know. I don't think he's a winger for a start. I think Rodolfo Pizarro. It was lacking in terms of creativity. I thought La Chofis had a good first half, but died out as the game went on. So there's question marks again for Chivas. I think they'll be fine though. I just think Xolos was the kind of team that are going to cause someone like Chivas problems, and it's something that Almeida is going to have to wrestle with. But yeah, I thought they deserved at least a point, to be honest. But you know, I think Chivas, like I said, I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to be in the playoff reckoning. You know, around 4th, 5th, 6th place, something like that. So. But yeah, it wasn't a great result against Xolos.
Well, especially kind of a little bit of a controversy, right? Matias Almeida's comments on giving a chance to Mexican players and all of that, and then obviously drawing some criticism by Piojo, and then having Xolos beat Chivas, kind of shutting up. But it looks like maybe Matias Almeida there trying to become Mexico's next, El Tri coach, kind of like, underneath saying great things about Mexican players, people are already liking him, and he hasn't won anything, but it's kind of funny how he's marketing himself. It's kind of.
I'm not sure, mate. I'm not sure. I think honestly, and people might say I'm really naive and kind of just.
No, that's naive.
The wrong. I just think he's being honest. I don't think he needs to market himself. I think he could walk to Europe and get a job tomorrow. You know, I think what he's done at Chivas speaks for itself as well. But I think he's right. There's a kind of element of malinchismo about these Mexican managers. Miguel Herrera starting with 2 Mexicans against Chivas. I mean, at the end of the day, he wants to be the Mexico coach again. I understand that the rules allow him to do that. But I mean, where's your faith in your domestic players? I mean, if you're a Mexican coach, where's your faith in your youth system in buying Mexican players?
Well, here's the thing: faith doesn't give you wins. You know, proven talent does, and players like Guido. Tell me the Mexican equivalent of a Guido Rodriguez.
No, yeah.
Have you guys seen? Let me ask you guys a question. And let's say past 2011, 2012. I mean, before that, we always saw these, foreigners come in, just crap foreigners that are bringing more of the promotores. Have you seen a little bit of change of the quality of foreigners that are coming in are a lot better than normal than it usually was in the history of Liga MX, let's say in the last 10 years?
I would say, yeah, to a degree. I think that Johnny just nailed it there with, Guido Rodriguez. I mean, he was absolutely superb. Again, he's a brilliant player. And at 22 years old, I think he's got a really bright future. You look at other players like, Guido Pizarro, talking about more Guidos. He's also absolutely brilliant. I mean, to get in the Argentine squad with the depth that they have, just shows how good he is. And you look, Aviles Hurtado. I mean,
the Chile players too.
The Chilean players. I mean, there's some very, very good. the Nico Castillo, especially the Pumas guy, the Cruz Azul guy, the Cuate, what's he called? The Uruguayan. I mean, I agree with you, Luis. I think there's a higher, and I think it's more difficult for Chivas. And I agree with what Johnny said. Where do you get the Mexican 22-year-old Guido Rodriguez? I tell you what, though, if nobody ever tries to give these younger players a chance, then you're not going to get one. Because that guy's already proven himself. I don't know how many games he's played in the Argentine First Division, which is obviously a very, very good league. I don't know, he's already coming, he's already ready for battle, if you like, in the Mexican league, because he's already done it in Argentina. Whereas the Mexican players don't have that. This is the breeding ground for Mexican players. And if a Mexican coach won't, put a player out and give him a run of games, then Mexican players, the national team is going to suffer eventually. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious.
But I mentioned this at least once a month. It's not the club's responsibility to build the national team. The national team needs to worry about the national team, and the league needs to worry about the league. Each have its own. Each have their own interests, and each have their own objectives to meet.
It doesn't work that way, Johnny. When your club owns the national team.
But right now, for example, Xolos, Tom says Miguel Herrera has no faith Mexicans, and that it's going to affect the national team. Miguel Herrera is trying to win the Clausura 2017 tournament. He's not trying to make the Confederations Cup squad as strong as it can be. His goal is to win the league, and you're going to win the league. You're going to use the best players available to win the league.
I'd say two things. One, there's a middle ground, and if you look at something like the Bundesliga, the federation did work with the league, with the clubs, to set up a structure, and I think you'll find that it's worked for both. I think the standard of the league's improved, and I think the standard of the German national team has improved in the last 10 years. And I think the other point is that for me, I don't know, it depends on your concept of what a football club is, but for me as a fan, if you're from a place and you grow up watching a team, I want to see players who are from the absolutely, bleed the club's colours, you can relate to on a personal level. I think in terms of relating to a team as a fan, that comes from having players that have come through the youth system that have been born and brought up in the club. And I think too many Mexican clubs are just like, all right, we need a striker. All right, let's go to Colombia. What have we got there? It's an easy way out. And I agree
with that, with the club identity, with players coming from the youth system. But look what happened to America. We get a really good striker like Raúl Jiménez, and then he just leaves.
Oh no,
Gone.
he gets sold. No, he gets sold by the national team too. Johnny, you're also forgetting that when the national team takes one of your players, right? Let's say takes somebody from Pumas or somebody from America or Cruz Azul, it ultimately puts a price tag on that player now that he's better because he's on the national team. From shirt sales to following, and you ultimately can sell them and make money off of it. So there's also an investment of growing that young talent and being there and able to go into the national team in order for it to give I think I like what Tom says is you have to have that balance because in that case, you know what? Who cares? Why do we have these rules? Forget, just anyone can go in as long as the best players and forget having academies that are not going to grow in there. And ultimately, I think it's going to be bad for the league.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think it just comes down to also even divorcing the situation with the national team away from it. I think it's just good business. It's just a good business model to have a solid academy where you can draw from these players, and even if you don't end up using a lot of them, you have that option, and you have the competing for places where it's set up in some way where it's realistic for them to get into that top team. And I mean, I think there are a lot of teams in the league, or maybe some teams, we can say not a lot of teams, that use that and use that, and it's to their benefit. And I think teams that have that mix of the cantera with the bringing in the foreigners are going to be a lot better off in the long run.
Yeah, let's look at Pachuca. I mean, if we're looking at teams that are coming in and giving that talent and producing great players that are able to be sold and either to Europe or to other teams, Pachuca, I think is what we should be doing.
Take Pachuca. What happens to Pachuca right now if you get rid of Irving Lozano?
I'm sure they have somebody else coming in. Yeah. Like they should have other great players that are going to come in. It's not going
to be the type of player that will resolve a match for you. They'll score 3 goals on opening day.
And who And who gave and tell me Lozano was great when he came in at 18 years old? No, there's a reason why he's that player. But Pizarro, and it all came from Hector Herrera. That mold of giving the chance of the younger players, and that's where it's coming from. That's a great example you just brought up. They have a great player because they gave him a chance. This kid is amazing, and look how young he is.
But also, there's Johnny. There were plenty of players coming through the Pachuca youth system who were going to be very, very good players. Now, I agree with your point that are they going to walk in there tomorrow and score a hat trick? No, but like Weasel says, Lozano wasn't ready at 18 years old. If he'd never get the chance, Lozano would never develop into what he is today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all for giving the players a chance. Let them play in the U20, U17, and once they prove themselves better, then, for example, Henry Martin at Xolos right now, he's battling Milton Caraglio for a starting spot on the team. Right now it just seems that Henry Martin is just not there yet. I believe he has the talent to get there. I don't think very highly of Caraglio as a striker. I think Henry Martin can be better, but right now Henry Martin has not proven himself better than Caraglio.
But how is he gonna get better than him if he's not playing? He's not on the training ground. I mean, it's just not good enough. I mean, he
Why
needs
not on the
games.
training ground?
Well,
Because it's nowhere near the same as a real match. Henry Martin needs to play 50, 100 games, like Caraglio will have done in Argentina, because he'll have been given the grounding in Argentina to become the player he is. Whereas the Mexican players are reaching the under-20s, and then they're like, where do you go from there? They're just completely falling out of the system.
At the same time, the great players that we have now, the young players at Pizarro's, it wasn't because of the sub-20 they got better. It wasn't because Chucky Lozano didn't get better for playing so many sub-20 games. I mean, he got played because he got playing time. Now, I do get what you're saying, Johnny. I mean, you're the coach and you want to win this game. You have this pressure. You have to win or they're going to fire you. And you have to win against this guy. And you're like, well, I got to give him players. I get it. But there has to be some type of balance. And I think that's where Almeida's saying, give these guys a chance, right? And take a gamble with it. And hopefully that, these guys are going to surprise you. But at the same time, you're right, Johnny.
There's the result. There's the result. I mean, Almeida gives chances to young players. He took a loss to the guy who apparently doesn't give chances.
Yeah, but I take Chivas' team over Xolos, to be honest. But anyways, but Almeida was actually spot on, and it's worth checking out on YouTube to see if the press conference is there, because he got quite passionate about it. And it's like, you guys don't believe. He was talking about Mexicans, and he was like, you guys don't believe in your own talent. Why don't who? And he said to the journalist, how many of you here believe that Mexico can win the next World Cup? And like one guy put his hand up. And I mean, that's your problem. You can win the next World Cup. You've got to believe it. You've got to believe in the infrastructure, the youth systems that you've got here. And you've got to give these youngsters an opportunity. You've got to believe in Mexico, in the Mexican youth. I was inspired by it. Anyway,
we're going to win the World Cup. That's it. We're going to win the World Cup. All right, guys. Well, we can spend a whole... Go ahead.
Piojo Herrera said the same thing going into the World Cup. That, he was there to win it, and everybody laughed at him when he said it.
No, people were pretty critical of Almeida saying it. I mean, a lot of people were like, "All right, calm down, Almeida." Every coach has been saying that. Hugo Sanchez was the first person I remember a while back that said that who win the World Cup, but who knows? All right, guys, we're going a little bit over. Definitely a great discussion. I think we can go on and on about the foreigners and just kind of look at other leagues and what we see. Really quick, CONCACAF Champions updates on some the expansion of the CONCACAF Champions League from 24 teams to 31. Trying to decipher all of this. Johnny, I know that we are going back and forth. You finally went in it, and so did Jason. What's going on this format, and how is this going to impact some of these games that are happening with the CONCACAF Champions League?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that we're cutting out the group stage format, kind of splitting into two groups, and they kind of have some of incorporating more teams in a first phase with Central American teams kind of eliminating each other in a kind of a first round tournament with one team moving on to the second phase where the MLS teams come in, the Liga MX teams come in, and the the champions of the Central American countries as well coming in that second phase. So it just kind of shortens it down into a home-and-home kind of elimination tournament with 16 teams, which I believe now starts in the spring instead of starting in the fall and carrying over with group stages and everything. So more condensed tournament, I think, and for me, I think it's a better tournament now, a little stronger. I think the group stages of CONCACAF Champions League were never the most tantalizing of games.
So here, I mean, I have mixed feelings about this because there's a part of the CONCACAF Champions League that used to take place between August and the end of the year. So the first part, which was the group stage, that wasn't very much fun to watch, but we watched it anyway because our teams were there. You know, we would see America beat this Puerto Rico team 11-0. Now that part is completely gone. So there's going to be like sort of a second-tier tournament during that time where Costa Rican, El Salvador, Guatemalan, Honduran, and a bunch of Caribbean teams are going to 16 teams are going to play in this tournament during that time span, and the champion will get an entry into the CONCACAF Champions League, which will be played in the spring through the summer, which it's the knockout stages. So we had very little incentives to watch the group stage before. Now I feel we have absolutely no incentives to watch during the fall.
You don't, but I'm pretty sure the rest of the region is going to give more exposure to watch them.
Really? Are you really interested in how the Puerto Rico Islanders?
Not me, but I'm talking about the whole. Yeah, not us. I'm just saying. Like, I think as a region of CONCACAF doing this will give the smaller clubs a little bit more exposure, and not necessarily. And I think it'd be more competitive overall. But wouldn't you think?
Well, no. Here's the competitive part. 4 Liga MX teams and 4 MLS teams now get direct entry into knockout stage around a 16. Before the Liga MX teams, maybe they took it seriously, maybe they didn't, maybe they get left behind on the group stage. Now they just get direct access to the knockout stage. I think this will continue Mexico's dominance over the competition if they have direct entry into knockouts.
Well, the thing is, I think from a Mexican point of view, it's perfect. I don't know. I don't see any negatives. If you're just judging it through the lens of the Liga MX, the fewer games, you don't have the group stage, which, let's be honest, wasn't very interesting. And the big one is that possibly it might open some space in the calendar for a Libertadores return, which at the end of the day, if this CONCACAF Champions League competition is only going to be it's going to start at a round of 16 stage, then why isn't there space for the Libertadores?
That was my exactly first reaction looking at this new calendar, seeing that America will not, since America and Tigres made the final of last season, they're in the 2017-18 CONCACAF Champions League, along with whoever's champions and runners up this season. So my first thought was these teams are not going to participate until February 2018. So why isn't America playing in this year's Libertadores the way they qualified? They should be in Libertadores.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my first.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens with the Libertadores. I think the other thing as well with what Johnny said about the domination, it's not just that. It's like from a calendar point of view, MLS clubs are always like, "Oh, we're coming into the knockout stage in our preseason," and this format does nothing to stop that. They're still playing in February. They're still in the preseason, and I don't know if they're going to come across Mexican teams. I don't think we've heard yet the full format. But if it is, then I assume that Los Angeles Galaxy are going to come to Torreon and get battered 4-0 again by Santos Laguna, and things like that are going to happen.
Good for Mexico. I think for the region, I think it'd be more competitive to bring a better team instead of a small 11-0, just like you said, Johnny. But we'll see where that's going. But out of time.
Just quickly, this is the problem with CONCACAF. You've got 2 giants, and the rest of them are smaller nations, and the quality's not there. The facilities aren't there. Their infrastructure isn't there, and that's not anything against them. I'll put Costa Rica in there as well, but that's nothing against them. It's not their fault. They need development. You know what I mean? They need money. And I think that to a degree, that's another negative. They're not going to have access to play in the big Mexican sides, which, let's be honest, if you're a Guatemalan side or aside from El Salvador, you want to play the big Mexican sides because it brings you exposure, it brings you experience. And under this new format, it's not going to happen. I think that's the negative side from obviously the rest of the region. But from a Mexican point of view, as the kind of kings of the region and the big guys, I mean, it's
I don't know. I mean,
perfect.
having a smaller club play smaller clubs and develop, hey, because, you know, let's say you're a fan of a small club in a small country, and you're going to play America, you're going to play Monterrey or something like that. You're going to get, you know, demolished, and you're not even going to make it to the next games. As to having a smaller tournament where you're going to develop and play more, at a level, and if you do make it to that following step, that's going to be even more. So it could be more games, better, and I think it also exposure. If you bring in smaller clubs versus smaller clubs, and you're getting that time to have your players out and travel. So we'll see how it goes. Definitely, that change was a little bit surprising, but especially trying to decipher everything.
Now, as a CONCACAF executive, how are you gonna feel when you take a big hit in the ratings? You know, are they gonna stick through this when absolutely nobody watches in the fall? Because Univision and Fox Soccer here in the U.S. would broadcast all these games.
Unless that's already made, unless those are already contracts that are going to go until 3-4 years, which normally is what happens, binding the tournament changing or something.
But
like
no
that.
one. I don't think the viewings would have been that great anyway for the group games. I mean, really. I mean, it's all about MLS v Mexico basically this tournament. I mean, I know it sounds harsh, and you get, you know, the odd team from Costa Rica and that brilliant, the brilliant team over the last. Arabe Unido from Panama, which was absolutely superb, great to see. But at the end of the day, from a TV point of view, the focus on this has to be Liga MX against MLS. I mean, this competition has to be built around that rivalry. If it is to work, and, you know, there's an argument that it hasn't worked so far, if it is to work in the future, it's going to be because there's a real rivalry between Liga MX and MLS. And that's what, with this new structure, they're trying to foster that rivalry and that competition.
Yep. We'll see what obviously what happens in that competition. Anyways, almost closing time. We're already going over well over an hour, but really quick, Mexicans abroad and Los Europeos. Great games by Guardado. A goal at the end of the game for Mr. Moreno. But other than that, no other big news. Kind of surprising there. Carlos Salcedo not getting any minutes, you know, especially coming back, and we're all expecting him to come in. I know he's going through some family problems that are in there, but not a lot. Glad to see the Europeos back. Glad to see Chicharito having a good game, not scoring yet. I know he had a penalty, he had a goal a little bit ago, but everyone, it looks like at least Bayer Leverkusen's getting some of those injured players back, which is helping Chicharito score. Big news of the Mexicans abroad is that Chicharito doesn't have a girlfriend anymore. I know Johnny wanted to talk a little bit about that. He mentioned it in our pre-email. But other than that,
he's not listening.
He's not listening. Forget it.
It's got you on mute.
Forget it. But I think that's pretty much it. No other three news. The game against Iceland's coming out. All the other news that are coming out. I'm sure Europeos players I think should be getting a letter in the next coming days because of the game is coming soon. So we'll see if it's going to be.
Not FIFA. It's not a FIFA day though. I don't think there'll be no Europeos in that one.
It's not a FIFA date.
Nope.
In February.
Why did I think it was a FIFA date? My apologies. No FIFA dates.
Yeah, no worries.
So still Vegas.
Still Vegas.
We're still going. For some reason, I thought it was a FIFA date. I got it. All right, but we'll see what's coming out. No other really big news that are coming out aside from that. So I think we're good with the show there. Tom was able to give us some final thoughts today to close out the show.
Not really got any, but I'm gonna just say again. Let's try and keep using the hashtag. Liga MX ENG. Let's see if we can all use it. Obviously, different media, FootMX Nation's using it, ESPN FC Tree's using it, Jason's been using it, Johnny's been on it, Goal's been using it, Kick. We're all trying to get everybody involved in this now, so that so we've got like a kind of home for all our comments and coverage, and and stories and all that. So yeah, it'd be good to create kind of community there and keep it up.
Send us memes, send us gifs on that hashtag. Entertain us.
Liga MX memes and where that. All right, guys. Thank you to all that were on the chat. Sorry we ran a little late. The trending on the chat is Tom Marshall for FMF president is what I keep reading a lot.
There you go.
That's it. That's the next. He'll definitely not get on the show anymore.
There's also someone says that Johnny Rico is crazy. That seems to be very.
I don't think crazy was a word, Johnny, but we'll just leave it as crazy.
I'm looking at it.
All right, guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful night. Thanks a lot for joining us. Liga MX in English here with the Mexican Soccer Show. Join us every Monday at 7 p.m. Pacific. Monday Night Football. Hey, there's no more NFL, so why don't we go, trademark Monday Night Football?
I hear there's one game left.
I think there is. No, I
hear there's one minor.
There's one minor game left. The Super Bowl.
Just a Super Bowl.
Unfortunately, they scheduled it at the same time that Chivas are going to play. So I think ratings are going to be
go down.
Yeah.
We'll see what that's at. All right, guys. Have a wonderful day. Please join us on our next edition of the Mexican Soccer Show next Monday, and obviously follow all of us on Twitter. All the guys, especially with all of the Liga MX in English and all your LP Mexican football news.
I put up that video. I put up that video on my Twitter, or a link to a video on my Twitter from the San Diego people mentioning buying a Liga MX team.
There you go. Go to the Johnny Rico page. There's only one. Troll him. Tell him how much you love him. All right, guys. Talk to you all later. See you next week. Adios.
See you later.